Hey, here we go. Pitfalls of passive learning. Let's talk about that. So I have some experience with passive learning, both in my life and watching as I've been teaching for the last couple of years here. So I thought we'd just go over it. And there are some pitfalls with passive learning. So passive learning, what's passive learning? Let's kind of define that first. So passive learning is when you kind of watch something. Maybe it's in the background. Maybe you're doing it while you're driving or doing the dishes or on a treadmill or doing whatever. You're just kind of listening and absorbing the information, okay? The other way to learn is to, I don't know what you'd call it, active learning, I guess you'd say. And that is when you are paying attention closely, you're maybe taking notes. Let's say you might review those notes. You might make flashcards to sort of remember the concepts, things like that. Those are more like active learning measures versus passive learning. Okay, so my experience personally with passive learning is my experience from high school all the way up to college, okay? So high school, started playing pool, I was about 13, and as soon as I got into pool, it's about the time that school started getting more challenging and you had to be more active if you wanted to do well in school. And, playing pool was everything I wanted to do, and school was just not an interest to me. So let's just say that I tried to passively make my way through school and middle school, let's say high school too, and I barely graduated. I mean, I went the minimum amount of days I could go. I never studied for anything. I just barely did enough to get through. If my graduating class had like 450 people, I must have graduated in the 400 something range. Probably with like a C average if I'm lucky, maybe C minus average, okay? It just was very poor at school. And I think looking back now, it was because I was a passive learner. I thought I could just go to class. And I wouldn't even say I was a passive learner in high school. I would say that I was a reluctant, not wanting to be their student. I wasn't even passive learning because I wasn't even probably listening to what they were talking about too much. For sure, I wasn't really engaged. I think my passive learning came in college. So then, I graduated high school, barely graduated, and I got like the ultimatum from my mom. My mom and dad got divorced, and I went and lived with my mom, and she said, you can live with me, but you have to go to school, like college, if you want to live here. And I'm like, well, I guess I'm going to college. I didn't really have any plan or any idea of anything. I just went to the community college locally and signed up for classes and figured I just kind of figure it out. So now I'm paying for school. Now I'm trying to get to be a passive learner from a completely like whatever I was in high school. So now I go to school and college and I'm like going to classes, I'm paying attention in class, I'm trying to listen to what they're saying, I'm trying to be more engaged, I'm maybe taking a few notes, maybe taking some notes, I don't know, so maybe I was a little bit more active, but mostly I was kind of passively just going and listening to lectures and kind of hoping that I could do a little study, do some review, and take the test, okay? So in college, I went from like a C minus student to probably B minus student, C plus, okay? Because I got a little bit more engaged. I was paying for it, like I said, all those things. And I just wanted to do a little better. I didn't have any idea. At this point, I thought school was all like, you either had it or you didn't. I didn't know that there was a way that you could
do well at school. Okay, so I don't want to slow roll you guys on this thing. So, so what happened was, so now I'm 3 years in, I'm working at the casino. I'm working awful hours. I'm driving from the casino overnights right to my classes. And I'm barely awake. I'm trying to make it through. So basically I don't fail out of I barely get through my sciences. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a chiropractor. It's just whatever, that was what I thought I wanted to be. Because I was into exercise and things, and I thought, well, this is cool. It'd be cool to be a doctor or whatever. So I'm going and I'm taking biology, barely passed it. Like maybe at the high point got a B, but probably not. Probably got C's. Took chemistry, three semesters of chemistry, college chem, barely got C's. And I was taking my generals, and I was probably getting B's in my generals because I was paying a little bit more attention. It was not as difficult as the sciences were for me. So then I got into physics, okay, cool, and I got a D in physics, almost failed it. And that's when I said, I'm not gonna be a chiropractor. So I went and transferred schools, and then I got into some classes that were more interested. I got into a history class. Dr. Larry Wright was my instructor at Inver Hills. Anyways, who cares? Other than me, I love the guy, I thought he was cool. And that history class is when the first class I became active. And I got like a C in his first class. And then I started realizing that I have to get more active in my learning, meaning memorization. History is all about memorization, dates, names, things like that. So the second semester, I raised it up to a B. And I'm like, wow, flashcards, all the things I mentioned. So then the third semester, pretty sure I got an A. And this is like a year and a half. I think it's a half year semester, so half a year now into that final semester of whatever. I ended up getting an A in the class, and it's because I sat in the library with flashcards. I took copious notes during the class, very active. I asked questions, I shared ideas, I tried to anticipate what was going on. I tried to be super engaged in what was happening. And I just got very, very active with notes and flashcards and memorization and underlying and all these things to get this down because I really wanted to get an A. And at the same time in that class, there was other classes and I was doing the same thing. I can remember going to the library and spending like 10 hours in the library. I would go there and I would just say, you know what? I am just going to read. I'm going to write notes. I'm going to underline those notes. I'm going to memorize those notes. And I just got really, really active in my learning. And I didn't know that this would work. I just knew that I could work harder and I could get more active and that my passive learning wasn't working. And so anyways, I went and I ended up graduating with like a 3.85 GPA and got academic Phi Theta Kappa and all those things with my 2-year degree. So I went from last in my class in high school to passively kind of screwing my way up, screwing around and kind of like barely getting through my first kind of 2 years of a 1 year of college. And then the next 2 years working part-time, let's say, or a year and a half, whatever it was, I got my GPA to where I got it. And it was only because I went into the library and I got really working hard and I just got super active in the learning process, okay? So then I went to River Falls, got my 4-year degree, got more passive because I opened a pool room and grades suffered and graduated River Falls with some sort of maybe B average, B minus average, but could definitely see a difference, right? Didn't put in the work, didn't get the result, same with pool. So what I'm trying to share with you guys is that, look at him touching my face. Irene told me to stop touching my face. That was one time. If the face touching thing, if you're drinking game, you would take a drink. Okay, so what I'm saying is that taught me how to get active in my learning. So now, if I go back into pool and look at my pool learning process, I passively was trying to learn pool for decades, right? Decades. It wasn't until about 5 or 6 years ago that I started to actively learn pool. I mentioned a billion times, but I quit and then I came back and I decided I'm only playing pool to learn the game and to be a student, and that's what I wanted to do. And so through that process, I got way more active in my learning, and now my knowledge has gone up, my level of play has gone up, everything's been way better. My mental game has gone up, my ability to do all the things that I'm teaching you guys, staying calm, staying present, analyzing the details, all those things. And it's because I became an active learner with pool, and it wasn't just passive learning. To me, pool passive learning is playing matches, hitting shots, and just hoping that eventually I hit enough shots, they look kind of familiar enough, and I can sort of hit the ball in kind of the right direction with sort of the correct English or sort of the correct speed, and I can kind of chain those things together sort of so that I can play good. And that's kind of a passive approach. And that's the way I see a lot of people playing pool. And what I'm trying to say is that when I make these videos and I go through these details of the shot, meaning thickness first, speed second, spin last, and then I talk about the biomechanics. And I talk about the mental game, like how calming I'm trying to be with those things. Like there is a very finite amount of variables to this game, but they are details that need to be actively engaged and not passively engaged. And what I'm looking at and seeing is that when I look at my students or I look at my experience with the learning process for people, or I look at people sending me questions, let's say, there is a level of passive learning that I'm seeing. And I'm not trying to out anybody or dog anybody or make fun of anybody or pick on anybody. I'm just saying that, and I understand we all have things that we need to do in our life, right? And this isn't the most important thing in the world, okay? I get all that. But what I'm saying is, I would encourage people to think more about active learning and just think about this game as more of an active learning game. And the quicker that we can go from passive learning, meaning watching these videos and sort of saying, well, that's entertaining, or it's fun to watch him shoot, or he kind of says this and I think it's interesting and it kind of tickles my brain and makes me think that. I would never, passive learning is like never setting up the exact runouts that I do or the exact shots and never hitting them. That's passive. Active would be setting up the shot and watching the video, going back, seeing what I'm talking about, trying to get these things down, seeing if it makes sense, seeing if it works, all that kind of stuff. And that's more active learning, and passive learning is just watching the videos and thinking, well, I like what he has to say, and then I just kind of try to feather those things in to my game. It's not impossible to learn that way. It's just not as effective, right? It's kind of like D, C, and B work, depending on your level of intelligence and your dedication and your eye-hand coordination and all that stuff with pool. I'm trying to draw the analogy back to me in high school and college. And if I was to try to passively learn this game, which I did for decades, I was a passive learner too. I wasn't detailed. I would be like, I don't know what I'm doing, I just feel it. I just kind of feel the shot, okay? Well, that's like probably a C level of effort and passive learning model that I had. Now the issue is I got over 700 because I put in an exorbitant amount of hours hitting balls. And I can look back now and say, if, and I don't have any regrets, by the way, no regrets on any of this stuff. I'm just sharing with you my reflections and my thoughts. If I was to go back and know what I know now, I believe that I could have been way more efficient with my time, way more active in my learning, and I could have really launched into this game. And it's fine. Now I have 3 kids, a wife, you guys to worry about everything, and I only have a certain amount of time, so I'm totally good with everything. I'm totally fine with where I'm at. If I never hit another pool ball in competition, I'm totally fine. But what I'm saying is, that doesn't mean that I can't look at people that are trying to go through this learning process with me and through this channel and my help and say, well, I really want you guys to think about passive learning and active learning, and I want to encourage you to be more active in your learning, because especially a lot of us are in an older age, right? We're not 14, 15 years old. I mention that all the time. So my 14, 13-year-old self would be so much better, so much faster, so much more complete a player if I would have been active in my learning from the start. I just didn't know I didn't even know that was a thing. I was feral, right? And now as an adult, I'm 52, now I look at it and think, okay, I have a limited amount of time. I need to be very active in my learning, meaning I have to be very detailed and I have to be very focused in my learning and very much a part of every single shot I hit. I have to be very connected, meaning very, it's not passive, it's very active with every time I strike a ball. It's just a habit, right? I'm just very connected. And I have been for the last 4 or 5 years. And I am when I do these videos. I'm talking, I'm explaining, and I can watch these videos back and realize I'm extremely connected to the shot. I'm a little distracted, granted, okay, but I am very, very connected even through the distraction, and that is an active sort of process and habit and learning and approach. And that's what I'm trying to share with you guys and encourage you guys to think about, is that if we can get more active in our learning, more connected, more detailed, we're going to be better off. We're going to learn faster. We're going to retain the information better, all that stuff, So I think that's kind of what I'm trying to encourage you guys with, is to say, let's be more active in our learning and less passive if you want to improve and you want to improve faster and you want to see daily improvement, okay? Now, if you are busy and it's more infotainment and you just like the channel and you like watching me hit shots and talk and make jokes, that's totally fine too. But then Expectations Podcast, the last one, just lower your expectations to that level of the amount of commitment that you have to your learning, and say, you know what? I'm in my passive learning stage right now. I just like watching and kind of learning and thinking about it. I'm not going to get all crazy about the details and take notes and make flashcards and rewatch things and set things up and hit them again and see what he's saying, or you could watch other players too, right? Do the same thing. So if you don't want to do that process, then don't do that process, because if it's not fun for you, then don't do it. But if you find joy in learning and you like the details and you want to improve, then getting more active in your learning is the way to do it, the way to cut down the learning curve, the way to improve every single time you put your cue together, all those things. Now, I'm going to call myself out, okay? Where am I a passive learner, okay? And where am I not even at the passive learning stage, right? True confessions. One Pocket, okay? And Banks. I like One Pocket enough. I love Banks. It's almost my favorite game. And I do zero work on One Pocket and Banks, but yet the only tournament I play is Derby that I want to play. So I have, 6 months to get ready for it. And when I left Derby last year, I talked to DJ who came out with me, and we had a heart to heart, and he called me out and said, you know, you're making excuses about this, you're making excuses about that, here's what we need to do. And we had a great conversation, and that's why I like being around people that challenge me and that push me, like DJ, is that I realized I need to study one pocket, I need to find shots that I'm uncomfortable with through professional players. So I need to watch Alex, I need to watch Tony, I need to watch these guys, and I need to see what they're doing, and I need to go set up those shots, and I need to figure out how they're striking that ball, right? Because there's a local 745 guy, and I played him Banks, and I watched him, and I'm like, man, he strikes the ball different than me. And I didn't have it on film, so I tried to go back and hit some of the shots I saw him hit, and I couldn't really do it. But then I realized that was before Derby, then after Derby, I realized, well, in talking to DJ, I'm like, all I got to do is put in the film work, set up the shots, and if I can teach myself a shot a day, you know, and if I learn 365 shots before the next Derby, I'm doing great. Well, now I got less time. I got to be learning 4 shots a day, which is fine. But what I'm saying is, like, I own that, though, okay? And that is why I don't feel like I'm a hypocrite. By talking to you guys about this, I'm totally open about it. I know that I could be, I'm not going to say should, I'm saying I could be preparing for Derby and hitting different one pocket shots and bank shots. And I know how to improve at one pocket. I know where my weaknesses are in banks and one pocket. I understand how to get good at those games and how to improve at those games. But I'm super like non-learning right now. I'm not even passive. I'm not even watching one pocket. I'm not even watching banks. I'm not even playing it. I'm not thinking about it. I'm not nothing in. So I own that. And I say, well, we'll see what I can do with a few months. Because I'm not even ready yet to start thinking about that. I don't know. I might not. And I might get to the point where I go, and if it's like a month before Derby and I haven't hit any one pocket or banks, I might not go to Derby. Maybe I'll just go play the 9-ball. I don't know. Maybe, who knows what I'm going to do, and who cares? It's up to me to decide, but I own it is what I'm saying. I'm honest in saying, hey, I am not even passively learning 2 out of the 3 games that I'm going to be playing in the discipline of the only tournament that I play each year. And so I own that. And I say, okay, I'm either going to have to lower my expectations super low and go out there and just be like, meh, let's see what happens. Or I'm going to have to get to work. And then even if I get to work and put in all this work, like the last podcast about expectations, all it's going to do for me, if I do become more active in my learning in those games and with my pool game in general, if I do those things, all it's going to do, expectations, is just going to give me a sense that I might do better out at Derby. So if I want to have a sense that I might do better in Derby in January, I probably need to get going, and I need to be more active. And maybe for me, if I was my coach, which I am, I'd say, well, why don't I passively learn for a little bit? Because it's at least a baby step. Because I'm not learning at all right now, other than the shots that I'm hitting, but I'm not learning game-specific strategy and things. And so maybe I should start watching one pocket and banks so I can passively learn. And you know what's going to happen when I'm passively learning? I'm going to grab a notebook, I guarantee it, and start actively learning, as long as I can just get down the path of passively learning. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start watching one pocket and banks, and I'm going to passively watch it. And I got a sneaking suspicion that I'm going to actively learn, because I'm going to look at shots that I like and that I want to learn and that I don't know, and then I'm going to set them up and hit them. Okay? So that's cool. That's cool. I like it. So thank you. I'm here. You guys are helping me. You guys are coaching me. You're holding me accountable. I appreciate it. So that's some of the areas where I'm passive in my learning, some of the areas where I've been more, it's not assertive or aggressive, but like more active in my learning. And then some areas where I wasn't learning at all. High school, I wasn't even a learner. One pocket and banks, I'm not even a learner right now. I'm not learning at all. So it's just, there's a flow. There's like no learning, active learning, or no learning. It's just, you're just sitting there. And then you got a little uptake with some passive learning. You're going to get something out of passive learning. And then your big learning comes from your active learning. So I am going to continue to actively learn on the stuff that I'm working on around you guys. I'm going to switch to a passive learner with one pocket, and I'm gonna have a mind shift, because the last time I watched a one pocket game, I was gonna grab my thing. I was forcing myself to do it. And I'm like, that's no good. That's no good. I don't like forcing myself to do anything. I don't want to do anything unless I enjoy it and I'm having fun with it. So I have a sneaky suspicion that I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna lower my expectations. I'm gonna just passively watch some one pocket and banks. I'm gonna find a shot. I'm gonna hit the remote. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna draw the shot out on a piece of paper and I'm gonna come work on it. So that's my plan. And we'll just have to have you guys kind of think about how your plan works and be honest with yourself and look at the areas, and are you passively learning, or are you learning more? I keep forgetting. I'm losing my mind. I'm getting too old. The opposite of passive, whatever word I was saying. Or are you not learning at all? Are you just, another thing of passive learning is just playing leagues 4 nights a week. Passive learning, passive learning, passive learning. You're just sort of like, well, there's a shot. I have to remember that. It's like it takes so long to learn that way. Oh, I'm touching my face again. Okay. That's it. I'm done yapping. Bro's done yapping. This is a hot mess. I hope that there was some information that helped you guys, and it helped me. So yeah, I appreciate you guys listening, because it got me on the ball to be more active in my learning, not passive. Pitfalls of passive learning. Okay, I love you guys. Take it easy, and we are going to end it now. Bye.